there's an element of insanity in everything. I don't care what it is. There's an element of insanity in it all. In government, in school, in families, in marriages, in friendships, groups, organizations, companies. There's an element of insanity in it all. And when you stay in a place long enough, you start to see that insanity. And so many of you know that I not long ago said I don't feel comfortable calling myself a shaman anymore, and I'm just not going to do it. And because of that, I did kind of leave the New Age behind. And leaving that stuff behind, having seen the insanity in it, seeing it like this shit is bananas. I don't talk shit about it. I don't want to talk shit about it because it was a necessary part of getting me from there to here. And I'm going to talk about what there was like and what here is like today. But you'll see videos all over YouTube of people talking about themselves being an ex-witch or an ex-gay or an ex-Christian, and they will talk shit about the life they left. So you saw that insanity. Congratulations. If we know there's an element of insanity in everything, congratulations, you saw the insanity. Other people are not going to see that insanity. Or maybe they do see that insanity and they're just lying to themselves. They don't want to see it. They don't want to see it. If you've ever had to get out of a dysfunctional family or a dysfunctional workplace, generally people are not going to want to see that insanity because seeing that insanity would mean they would have to change, and people don't want to change. People do change, but people don't want to change. Sometimes people will say, people don't change, Patrick. Why bother? People don't change. And I'm like, people do change, bitch, because I changed and I'm a stubborn motherfucker, okay? It's really hard to get me to change. But if I change knowing how stubborn I am, then I know that other people can change. So that's just an excuse. But people generally don't want to change, or especially confront that insanity in something they hold so dear. It's why people generally tear down their idols. They do it with celebrities. They build them up and they see that insanity in them and they tear them down. And it's a part of the ego. It's a part of human nature. When we see that insanity in something, it makes us see the insanity in ourselves. But most people will reject that, but I'm not most people. So I started to see the insanity in myself. I started to see that I was being delusional. And what do we call delusional? Delusional is when you create suffering in your life and you cause suffering in the lives of others. And holding on to this role of shaman, even though it was causing me suffering. Like, imagine these weird ass fucking conversations I would have with people. And they would say, well, Patrick, what do you do? And I'm like, well, I'm a shaman. And they would go, because something about that word, shaman, pokes and prods at that ego. Because here's the thing, not everybody can be a shaman. You have to go through years of training, years of hardship, years of trials, suffering. So if you go through all that shit and you earn the right to call yourself a shaman, it's going to make the ego in other people feel some type of way for that reason alone. Then you have people don't know what the fuck it is. They think it's a video game thing, or they think it's something that is antiquated, and it is antiquated. It is. It's a practice that is hanging on by a thread. And it took me a while to realize that. It's like, okay, this is the present moment. This is here and now. And most people don't practice shamanism. Should they? Maybe. I don't know. That's not for me to say. It worked for me for a while. It gave me that framework to grow through, to heal. It gave me something to hold on to in the face of sheer insanity. Now, I've called what happened to me in 2013 a near-death experience because that was my only frame of reference. But if I look back on it, and I've heard from lots of other people, it was more of a enlightenment experience. It was one of those spontaneous enlightenment experiences that you don't work for. It's just one of those things that fucking happens to you as a result of great suffering. It doesn't happen to everybody. I know it happens to people. They don't know what's going on with them. I know what happened to Eckhart Tolle. He didn't really know what was going on with him. I didn't really know what was going on with him. But in today's day and age, we have the internet, and that's what I did. I had this experience, and I went to YouTube. I had been making video blogs for years. I had been, well, was it years? Yeah, I started making content in 98. So by 2013, I was like, I'll just make videos about it. I don't know what the fuck's going on with me. Am I crazy? Am I insane? What the fuck is going on with me? So when I started sharing my stories about it, there were the new age people coming in to assist. And you know what? Thank God for them. Thank God for them, because even though that stuff has been revealed to me to be largely bullshit, I fucking needed it. I needed some context. I needed some stability. I needed some hope. You know, because when you go through something like that, reality does not work because your ego breaks. The ego in me broke open. And I've shared lots of experiences about how it looked and how it operated and all of the different things that I went through, and wrote a book about it called All Things Go, but but there's no way to adequately describe those enlightenment experiences. But someone told me that I was becoming a shaman, and then another person told me I was becoming a shaman. You know what? That made sense to me. Even in that nonsensical time, that made sense to me. It made sense why my childhood was the way it was. It made sense why I was born and raised in Edgar Cayce's hometown. It made sense that it was a destiny for me to become a shaman. It was it was fate. And yeah, there are a lot of people who said, well, that's not true. You're just crazy and all that stuff. But here's the thing about projections. I will say stuff, and then 1,000 different people will have 1,000 different opinions of me. Maybe many people won't get that experience, but on X yesterday, I was called a racist, misogynist, Nazi, and then I was also called brilliant and talented and a man with vision. How can I be all those fucking things? How can I be all those fucking things? And listen, whenever somebody calls me a misogynist, I'm like, if I hated women, y'all would fucking know about it, because I'd never shut up about it. I would never shut up about it. And to be fair to people, I do say things about men and women in plain, simple language. And if you think that the word feminine is negative when attached to anything else, that reveals how you feel about women. So there you go. Happy birthday. Do some shadow work. So the new age provides that sort of framework when you have that initial ego break. That ego breaks, you don't know what the reality that you were living in ceases to make sense. You can have this little micro spiritual awakening where when that ego breaks, you have the opportunity to develop, excuse me, ladies, develop your own thoughts, your own belief systems, your own opinions. That ego, when it breaks, you're nobody anymore. You're nobody. And that can be very terrifying for people. It was terrifying for me to realize I was playing a character, to realize that I was a nobody. It was very freeing at the time, but it was also very disturbing. Like, what the fuck am I going to do now? How am I going to pay my rent? How am I going to do this? And so I was like, well, shit, I'm not going to be able to have a job again. I'm going to have to do card readings for people. I don't know. See, there's a system in place for when you have that first ego break. There's a system, and it's the new age, and it's not really a system. It's just a loose collection of cobbled together beliefs that kind of sort of halfway works. It's triage on you, honey. It is triage. Triage. You see? Triage. Because that triage saves your life. I will tell you this, the New Age saved my life. The New Age totally fucking saved my life. If it hadn't been for the New Age, I probably would have ended up in a mental hospital. Well, I did. I did anyway. But you see that if it's not for the New Age, people would go insane. I would even say if it wasn't for churches, if it wasn't for spiritual practices, people would just go, you need something when you have that spiritual awakening. And you know, there are organizations and religions, they will happily take your spiritual awakening and commodify it in some way. And in a way, I commodified shamanism in some way. And that's not really what it's all about for me anymore. I like making music. I love being creative. And with shamanism, it was always hampered by that. Like, it's gotta be shamanic. It's gotta fit in this certain way. And, you know, dispensing of the role of shaman has really freed me up to make art and music about a variety of things. Hey, let me tell you something. We got contacted by a production that wanted to use 5 of our sex songs in their internet production. And we got so far as to sign the contract and everything. And then they decided they didn't want to use copyrighted content because it was already on an album and stuff like that. And I'm like, I totally get it, man. But that was really cool. And then another cool thing happened. A journalist reached out to me to talk to me about something unrelated. And then, but here's the thing. Our music is doing really well. Deciding to make fuck music was like a really good decision. And so many people on this very channel told me not to do it. So many women told me to not do it. And so, you know, you kind of have to trust your own instinct in this regard. You do. There were some of you who said, fucking go for it, man. And I appreciate that. But most of the people that I used to talk to in the New Age or through spirit, I don't talk to them anymore because people just slide in and out of your life. They do. They just slide in and out, almost like you're shifting timelines. So graduating from the New Age, graduating from it is this. When you graduate from the New Age, you realize that you've grown up. It's like graduating from high school or graduating from college. It's like a graduation. There probably isn't going to be a ceremony that's probably going to look like this. Huh. Now, you might be tempted to look back on your time in previous spiritual practices as a waste of time. You might be tempted, like, well, that was a waste of time. No, honey, there's no such thing as time. There's right now. You know, recently, all of my stomach issues pretty much cleared up after 5 years of hell. And was that wasted time? No, because I'm here now. I'm here now. I'm here now. And I wouldn't be here now if I hadn't been there then. So, yeah, in 2013, it was insanity. And so the insanity of the New Age looked more sane than the insanity that I was experiencing. And so where am I today? What am I doing today? Well, I am more creative than I've been in my entire life, but it's an ordered kind of creativity. It's like, okay, we're doing this and this and this. We're getting ready to release a collection of B-sides and bonus tracks next month. And so Merrick and I are putting that together and really loving putting together another album. Like, I love that part. I love making sure the songs flow together. If you've heard our albums, you know that I like concept albums a lot. And and really pushing our creativity and the technology that we use, the AI technology that we use, to its fucking limit. I love it. I love making stuff that shouldn't be. It shouldn't exist. Nobody would give me money to make an album called Bait Fuel. They would say, no, don't do that. You can't write a song about eating semen, bitch. With AI, you could pretty much do anything. You really can, and that's why I love it so much. So today I lit some incense for the first time in months. And I looked at some of my shaman supplies on the altar that I still have, and I just feel nostalgic. I feel nostalgic about it because what a necessary time. What a necessary time to go through. And I know that many people are still in the new age. And for those people, I will tell you, when you see that element of insanity, don't hate on it. Don't make fun of people who are still in it. You know, if you're an ex-Christian, don't put Christians, I don't put Christians down anymore. Even though I personally feel that the Christian God is an evil God, but I've also had the Abraxas revelation where there is no evil. But if somebody talks that Jesus stuff with me again, I'm like, oh God, girl, I got to go. I've heard it my whole life. I don't want to hear it anymore. I just don't. I don't need to hear it anymore. I don't want to hear it anymore. There's nothing a Christian could say to me that I have not heard before. And sometimes I'm like, I heard the same thing growing up. I've heard this all before. It's the same thing over and over again. Aren't you ready to wake up out of that delusion? Because, and what I see is Christians causing their own suffering and creating suffering for others. Christians are very delusional people. I mean, I'm still delusional in some areas, but I like being wrong and I don't like suffering. And that's why I don't do certain things anymore, because I don't want to suffer. But if you're still delusional and you don't know that you're causing your own suffering, that's fine too. I didn't know. I was a drug addict. Okay. People tried to tell me, Patrick, only you can choose to stop using drugs. I can't stop. Why? Why could I not stop doing something that was hurting me? Why could I not stop doing something that was not serving me? Why could I not stop? Because of ego. That's why most people can stop. So the investment that a person makes into the new age. Some of y'all have spent thousands and thousands of dollars on books, oracle decks, candles, services, and you might be afraid to look at that stuff and go, "Whoo, that's a little crazy. That's a little crazy." But at the same time, you pay for that privilege of knowing that it is all bullshit. Kind of like going back to that drug analogy. You know, when I would teach classes to addicts in the rehab, I would go around the room and say, hey, how much money have y'all spent on drugs? These are not rich men either. This was a facility that accepted Medicaid and indigent people. And we would sit in this room and we would all talk about the money that we spent on drugs and alcohol. And it would usually total in the multiple millions of dollars, just estimating just millions of dollars spent. And then they're like, that's a waste of money. I said, well, if you get sober, that was the price of this awakening. That was the price that you paid for this awakening, because addiction is often the entry into higher consciousness. There's a lot of ways to get there, but addiction is the one that's gonna fucking get you there. It's a ticket to ride, yo. All right, that's all I have for you today. I want you to have a beautiful day. And please remember, when you graduate out of the new age, you don't have to talk shit about it. You could just look at it and say, you know, that was good for me for a certain time in my life, but you know what? Now I'm on to something new. And I love being on to something new. every single day.
You build your walls out of silver and stone, a fortress of numbers, you live all alone. Told your children fables wrapped in gold lies, but they broke the crown and saw through your disguise. Every banquet's empty, every toast is cold. You can't buy love with the riches you stole. Your stupid little kingdom is crumbling down. Princes and princesses all ran out of town. No banners, no heirs, no voices to sing. Just echoes in a castle built for a king. You promised them crowns, you promised them thrones, but left them with curses and blood in the stones. They're roaming the wilds, they're breaking the chains. Runaway royals who spit on your name. All your gold is heavy, it strikes you deep, but no one's around to watch you leave. Your stupid little kingdom is falling apart. The moon is dry and it mirrors your heart. The princes and princesses won't kiss your ring. They've burned every scroll, they've silenced the king. Castles crack when the truth gets loud. Thrones collapse when you lost the crowd. You lied to your blood, you lied to yourself. Now you sit with your ghost and you're rotting away. No empire lasts when it's built on deceit. Your crown is a shackle, your reign's obsolete. Your stupid little kingdom is dust in the wind. The story is over, the book won't rescind. Princes and princesses never look back. They left you to choke in your own cul-de-sac. Your castle's a coffin.